No, you're not giving me 42 as per. You go on a wrong calculation on not net proceeds but on GTR. And also not recognize the fact, भैया 96 से जो pending है उसका भी हम clear कर रहे हैं 22 में. States को कैसे मोदी जी अलग तरीके से डील करते हैं सर? नहीं करते हैं. वो भी चीफ मिनिस्टर रहे, उनको मालूम है स्टेट्स का दिक्कत. हर पैसा हमने समय पर दे रहे हैं और 82,000 करोड़ जो पेंडिंग था फ्रॉम 96 उसको भी हमने ही क्लियर कर दिया. सर, ऑलमोस्ट एट द एंड सर. Sir, former finance minister, probably in the concluding stage of his speech, I was also here hearing him, had said, I've got 5 questions for which I want the finance minister to answer. And the 5 questions pertain to minimum wages, legal guarantee, education loan waiver, abolition of Agniveer, scrapping of meat. I just want to give a very quick response to each one of these points. Sir, minimum wages of 400 a day. Sir, I'm referring to the Honorable former Finance Minister, sir, who had raised 5 questions and wanted us to answer. Sorry, sir, 1 minute.
I think, but the best that has happened is the Honorable Finance Minister has not taken the... No.
So,
the Honorable Minister is also appointed, but not this occasion.
400.
Not this occasion. Yes, not you. There is another Honorable Minister behind you.
Oh.
So my problem is I'll have to find some mechanism. If there are Honorable Ministers and the second one rises, then if I tell one, the other one may misunderstand it. Honorable Minister, please.
Yes, sir, I'm just responding, sir.
But I'm not addressing the Honorable Finance Minister. Yes. Mr. Thavle, please. For the चलो कम से कम आपने ऐसी चर्चा तो की जो थोड़ा सी हंसी मजाक की हुई. Otherwise, you are very serious when you make an observation.
Sir, we raised 5 questions.
Please. Honorable, please, Honorable Minister. No, I will not allow. If I had to allow, I would have allowed leader of opposition. I will not allow anyone.
He raised 5 questions, sir. On which he said, why can't 400 rupees be declared as the minimum wages per day? Sir, I think he is talking about Manrega Act and through which declare a minimum wage of 400. I just want to highlight on that presumption that Manrega Act of 2005, sir, Section 6(1) of the Act says, notwithstanding anything contained in the Minimum Wages Act 1948, the central government may, by notification, specify the wage rate for the purposes of the Act. It says that. And says, provided, that's a proviso, provided that different rates of wages may be specified for different areas. I also think because, probably because it was mentioned in the Congress manifesto, I'm a bit hazy on it, but his demand was 400 rupees per day minimum wage. Why won't you want to declare it? So I want to highlight, sir, the Rural Development Ministry, which deals with Manrega, since UPA time, has been declaring the minimum wage, And these are decided based on changes in the CPI-AL, that is Consumer Price Index Agricultural Labor, which reflects inflation in rural areas. It's based on that every year some kind of a notification comes. This has been the practice since 2005 to 2014. Our government has also followed the same principle. I don't know if I can use this saying in the English language. What is goose? What is sauce for goose is the sauce for gander as well. One is therefore tempted, sir, therefore, to ask the form of FM, what prevented the UPA from notifying a uniform wage rate under the Manrega when it was in power? They didn't do it then. But now, if he is quoting the Manrega Act and demanding that Government of India declare 400 rupees as minimum wage, I would want to also highlight, and I'm sure being a legal mind, he would be aware of this nuance. The Minimum Wages Act of 1948 also empowers the states to fix minimum wages with respect to categories, various categories of employment, unskilled employment, and so on. So in the states, minimum wages are again fixed differently for different states. So permit me for a minute, sir. So, Minimum Wages Act, sir, are fixed by states for different kind of employments, just as Government of India also fixes minimum wages for railways or the mines or many other things which come under its subject. For example, sir, I'm taking the example of Karnataka. State government notifies 4 different zones to fix minimum wages for unskilled workers. Zone 1 is for Bangalore city and the city corporation area. Zone 2 is for district headquarters and in the various districts and so on. In the state of Himachal Pradesh, I would like to draw your attention, sir. In the state of Himachal Pradesh, as per the latest notification, or latest in this subject, which was issued in May 23, it was issued by the state government that unskilled wage earners will get a 375 rupees minimum wage.
1 second. I must appreciate your fairness. You touch the state of the leader of the opposition, and next you are touching the state of leader of the house. So that even balancing has taken place. And I am privileged to be chairman at a time when this house has presidents of the 2 leading parties in the country, the largest democracy. Honorable Finance Minister.
So, if wages are to be fixed by different states at different levels and for even within a state different zones, it's difficult to think of how the central government can fix a wage of 400 rupees and also say, therefore, it should be done for the entire country. Sir, also, it must have been a slip of the tongue. I don't want to pick on it, but I'm very tempted, sir. In a speech, I think he claimed that he travels 500,000 kilometers by road every month. Must have been 500,000.
We can overlook it. This does happen sometimes.
If it was wrongly heard, I want
No, I'll tell you. The leader of the house made a mention of 7 crore and he quickly corrected that it was 7 lakhs. So from that we can ignore.
All right. So education loans. He had a question to ask on education loans. So we have already announced measures for education loans in this budget for helping our youth who have not been eligible for any benefit under government schemes or policies. We have announced a financial support of 10 lakh for higher education within the country. E-vouchers for this purpose will be given directly to 1 lakh students every year for an annual interest subvention of 3% to the loan amounts. Sir, he also asked a question about Agniveer scheme. I wanted to highlight, sir, former finance minister has served as also former home minister. I'm sure he understands the nuance involved in national security. Agniveer is a very reformative step to enhance the capabilities and battle readiness of our armed forces. It ensures actually that we have fit soldiers who are on the front line. So one of the expected outcomes of the scheme is that armed forces will have much younger force by recruiting those in the age group of 17.5 years to 21 years and retaining only 25%, thus reducing the average age of the Indian soldier. Why should we do it, sir? In countries like the US and the UK, soldiers are required to render only 2 of the 6 years in service because they want to keep the young, fit and agile person at the borders. I hope on matters related to the fitness and battle readiness of the Indian Army or the armed forces, we don't do politics, sir, because it is something which is going to be critical for this country. We need young, fit and battle-ready young people who are going to be trained. In fact, I was going to bring in here one of the news items which had come in the recent last 2 days about how in terms of fitness and in terms of skills acquired, which are so required at the borders, Agniveer people have come out with flying colors. Studies have proved it. So this is a scheme which is very important, and we need to have greater sense of looking at the national interest rather than just take policies on some other consideration. I'd like to remind, sir, when in 2014 Prime Minister Modi reviewed the situation, I got into defense only later in 17, and therefore with some interest I went back to look at also the earlier periods. 2014, Indian armed forces, particularly the army, didn't even have bulletproof vests. We had to panic buy and give them. And in that, the role of Manohar Parrikar ji, Arun Jaitley ji, to make quick procurements, and we had to procure it from elsewhere. But today, in our country, we produce bulletproof vests which are good enough for our army, and they feel that it has given them the sense of security. Not just bulletproof vests, sir, it is also a truth that in India at that time, for 10 years, major defense procurements did not happen. And this is not a fiction that I'm telling you. In the House, Defense Minister then had said we can't procure it because we don't have the money. So Agniveer is a scheme which we brought in with great sense of commitment to keep our armed forces battle ready. And young and fit people get into the army, and I don't think there's a need for us to unnecessarily worry that this is causing some kind of a distortion. Not at all. It is with the acceptance of the armed forces that it has been brought in. Sir, he is also, I think I've addressed the 4 issues that he had raised. The 5th one is NEET. So, Honorable former Minister, he's a lawyer. Probably he spoke one day before the final judgment came from Supreme Court on the NEET. One day before he spoke, and therefore the verdict which was given by the Supreme Court, he probably wouldn't have been aware. The Supreme Court did not scrap NEET exams. It observed that there is no material at the present stage to indicate any systemic leak. That's about the NEET exam leakages. But abolition of NEET, I'm afraid to say, was triggered even before the leak issue came up. So I want to highlight some of the features, sir. NEET exam was notified. When was it notified? For the benefit of all our members. When was NEET notified? In 2010, December 2010, with its implementation. Who was leading the implementation at that time? It was led by the then DMK minister Gandhi Selvan, who served as MOS for Health and Family Welfare as part of the Congress-led UPA 2 government. So it was brought at that time. The Supreme Court, while talking about the need, didn't take care of it. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please.
And that is why it is running even now with the state. Sir, I want him to not interrupt with misunderstanding.
Mr. Wilson.
This is undone. UPA in 2012, the UPA 2.0 introduced NEET undergraduate for medical examinations as well, medical admissions. And 2013, the first exam took place. All during UPA 2013, the exam took place. When the Gazette notification of 20th December 2010 was challenged in the Supreme Court, both the lawyers of the Medical Council of India and UPA's Additional Solicitor General of India defended NEET. When it was challenged in the Supreme Court, December 20 was the time when Gazette notification was issued, and that Gazette was challenged in the Supreme Court. That time, both the lawyers of Medical Council of India and the ASG of UPA government defended NEET, saying this was an effort to streamline the admission process. Sir? Sir, therefore, sir, the ASG then stated that the earlier system of multiple examinations was neither in the national interest nor in